parents and like how little effort they actually put into our relationship. And I was like, maybe that's why it just like, you know, in talking with Lawrence, saying, I was like, oh, what a thing. What a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really lines up with the conversation with your parents.
Yeah. Here you go, my sweetest love.
Are we live?
We're gonna get.
Hey, nice shirt.
Dude,
It's nice,
I
right?
found it in the car. And I was like, oh, that
Joe's
goes
never getting
I love that double button up
double
combo. That really is one of my go-to moves.
double shirt. I'm just gonna hang here.
Do you always go with button up
or button down?
or button down?
Wait, what?
Do you call it a button up or a button down?
Oh, I guess I call it a button up.
And my question is, what does that say about a human being when you choose button up or button
I
down?
don't know. I'd love to know. It's like a Rorschach test.
Yeah. Because I usually go with button down. You said button up, I was like, whoa. It really struck me.
I've never really thought twice
I haven't either until that moment. Sliding behind the camera.
Yeah, I just wanna, as though I haven't had enough screen time today, but I'm just like, I wanna make sure.
I'm happy to sit over there during class. And it's
Cool. Just wanna make sure.
get you away from the blow box.
Out of control.
I did see Charisse in the parking lot, but
Oh, nice.
Century's drove away.
Oh, I got a call from the parking lot owner today.
Oh,
And he was like, oh, he was really nice, but he was like, you know, we've seen people walking in with yoga mats. And I'm like, all 5 people? Like,
Yeah.
who? Who have you seen? But anyway.
like this lot right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, people just need to pay, like they're welcome to park there, but they need to pay. And I was like, I think what's confusing for people is they can't find how to pay hourly.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, well, we don't offer that. It's only by the day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think if you made that an option, people would happily pay.
Yeah.
But they're only here for like an hour and 15 minutes. So
Did you tell that?
yeah, and I was like, you know, so if there's an opportunity, he was like, well, I can't do both. And I'm like, okay, but I'm like, that lot is always empty. Just make it pay by the hour. People would park.
You'll actually make some money.
You would make more.
But isn't it city parking as well?
He like leases it to the city. I think it's strange. So anyway,
Well, I guess people are gonna have to park elsewhere.
oh, I did say actually. I also said on the Instagram story today. I said, please find street parking. So yeah,
Maybe that's why Charisse drove away.
yeah, maybe she went to find street parking. Anyway, this is all
How's your
recorded.
nervous system now?
This is all recorded if you have your mic on.
It's not on.
Oh, great.
I haven't turned it on yet. Is there anybody watching?
No.
Is there anyone else there?
Other than that, hello.
Hello?
But you could, if you want to, you could always start.
Yeah.
And then you have it online.
All right. Well. Let's do it. Hello, hello. All right, let's get into some sliding glide, huh? So when you're ready, just come down to your backs, legs stretched out long, arms down by the sides, or maybe in a T. Good. Just allowing yourself to arrive. Noticing the back body, contact points against the blanket, against the floor. Be Begin to direct your breath into the low belly. Very hard this time of year, but if it's possible to inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. If it's not possible, it's all good. Take note of any similarities or differences, right to left, from the bottoms of the feet all the way to the crown of the head, tips of the fingers. Comparing sensations, how the body rests. Allow for some space between the upper and lower molars. So let's begin with our up-slip, down-slip. So bringing legs and feet about hip distance apart. On the inhalation, just keeping the back of the leg and the heel on the floor, pressing the inner edge of the right heel towards the windows or the wall in front of you. If you are on the ethers. And exhaling, coming back to neutral. And when you're ready, taking it to the other side. Left heel presses away from the center of the body. Exhaling to come back to neutral. And take a moment to pause between sides. Even if it's just half a breath. As always, it's on your own time, on your own rhythm. If this is a familiar move for you, maybe considering, instead of leading with the inner edge of your heel, maybe leading with the space right between your belly button and your hip point. So if you're working the right side, the space a little bit to the right of the belly button. And as you move to the left side, that space just to the left of the belly button. So if you imagine a classic six-pack image of a torso and belly button at midline, the right edge of the midline will lead on the right side, and the left edge of the midline will lead on the left. And when you feel good and ready, just let it all go, toaster now. Noticing any new sensations that may have already cropped up. Alright, let's bring our arms to goalpost position. So backs of the hands either on the floor or directionally towards the floor. And On the inhale, we're gonna do the same thing with the leg. So right leg presses out in front while the right arm begins to reach up above the head, moving towards straight. And we exhale to bring everything back to neutral. So we call this walking up the ladder, moving to the left side, left leg presses away, left arm inches above the head. Squeeze.
I want to turn 90 degrees. Doesn't really matter. No one's there.
Can you still see it all here?
Yeah.
You may want to play around a little bit with the angle of the arm reaching. So maybe the arm's not trying to reach straight behind you. Maybe you're at a little bit of a Y, like a, not quite an uppercase Y, but a little more narrow than that. May just take a little pressure off the joint. And let's go one, maybe two more times on each side. And when you're ready, arms can come back down by the sides or out towards a T, just resting. Letting go of any clenching, holding. Let's bring those arms out to a T if they're not already there. Maybe just visually check, okay, are your arms actually at a T or are they a little higher? Just make sure those arms are coming straight up from the shoulders. And on the inhale, leaving the arm heavy on the right side, we're going to inhale and just reach those right fingertips as they slide on the ground away from the midline of the body. And exhale to let it go. Pausing for a moment between sides. Inhale. Left arm slides, left fingertips reach. And exhaling to let it go. Experimenting for yourself as you reach the fingertips away. Maybe the palm is open, as big as it could be. Maybe it's more in a fist. I really like both ways. So palm spreading, and then making a fist and curling the fist back towards the body, back towards the wrist. Feel really good. Just make sure the neck is loose, the head is soft. Just kind of going along for the ride. The torso's relaxed. No holding through the legs. Good yawns. Good yawns. The next time the right arm reaches away, maybe taking the gaze, turning the head towards the left hand. the left hand reaches, head turns, gazes towards the right hand. And the next time you finish on the left side, just pausing, resting, let it all go. Sense, feel, listen to the body. What's alive in there? Nice and slowly, gently, inhale, bring both feet to the floor, knees to the ceiling. And we can leave the arms down by the side to start. We'll just begin our spinal undulation 1. So on the inhale, our low back arches, chin will likely tip towards the chest. And on the exhale, we round, chin may tip slightly towards the ceiling. And again, your own time, your own breath, moving at the speed of awareness. Not pushing through edges if you're somebody who tends to go fast or rush. Just check in. Ask yourself to slow down a little bit. Excuse me. It's like you're riding a wave or maybe resting on a floating back. As waves ripple underneath, feeling the gentle undulation. And maybe 1 or 2 more, and then just pause with the feet right where they are. Hands can remain where they are. And just notice the feet, bottoms of the feet making contact with the blanket, the floor, back of the pelvis. How's it resting? So on the inhale, just going to press the inner edge of the right knee away from the midline of the body. So if you're in the room, towards the windows. Exhale, coming back to neutral. Take it to the left side. Inner edge of the left knee presses away from the midline of the body. Exhale, back to neutral. And again, if this is a familiar movement for you, maybe consider leading, engaging the movement from a space higher up the leg. So right where the thigh meets meets the pelvic floor on the inner edge. See how that might change the sensation. And just pausing for a moment, rest. Notice what's here now. Bring the forearms above our chest. We're going to grab onto opposite elbows. So elbows are pointing towards the ceiling. And on the inhale, the right hand that's holding the left elbow is just going to pull that left arm across the chest towards the right side. And we're just going to stretch along the deltoid area and the outer edge of the arm. Exhale, arms come back to neutral. We take it the other way. Inhale, left hand draws right arm across the chest. And the next time the arms draw to the right, allow both knees to fall gently to the left. Exhaling, drawing down through the back of the right hip, back to center. Inhale, arms draw left, knees fall right. Maybe the head, the gaze also turns towards the right side. Exhale, everything back to neutral. And just on your own time. And when you're ready to let that go, legs can come long, arms come back down by the sides. Inhale, bringing right foot to the floor, left leg stays long, arms back out to a T. All right, as we inhale, pressing into the inner edge of the right foot, we swing the right knee across the body, finding an arch in the lower right back. And exhale. Allow the body to unwind, coming back to neutral. Maybe allowing the right knee to drop out towards the right. That feels good for you. And then on the inhale again, engaging through the inner edge of that right foot. Find a little twist. exhaling, back to neutral. All right, the next time that knee draws across the midline of the body, reach those right fingertips away. Then begin to turn the right palm, faces the ceiling, thumb points down, faces behind you. This ring action through the shoulder. Maybe pause at the apex, take a deep breath, and then exhale, everything unwinds, and fall back to neutral. Just one or two more times on this side here. Maybe allowing the head to gaze towards that right hand. And at whatever point you're all set there, allow the right leg to come long. Pause for one or two breaths. And then we can just go right into the left side. Left foot comes to the floor towards the ceiling. Right leg long, arms still out to a T. Inhale, engaging through the inner edge of that left foot. Knee draws across the midline. Arms through the left side of the spine. And we exhale, everything falls back to neutral. And on your own time. And the next time the knee draws across the body, palm faces the ceiling, thumb points down, ring out that left arm, that left shoulder. And exhale, unwind. Just one or two more times here. You allow the left leg to come long, arms coming to comfortable position down by the sides. Release the fingers above the chest. We're going to flip the palms towards the ceiling, bringing our arms above the head. Palms reach back behind. Feet flex. Legs, feet press away from the midline. We just get this kind of morning wake up stretch. And then exhale to let it all go. Any final movements you might want for yourself before coming to your final Shavasana. Taking a deep breath, filling the belly, pausing at the top for a moment, and exhaling, let it all go, belly softens. Taking that breath for yourself 1 or 2 more times if that feels good. Allowing your body to be cradled by the floor, bones drop down, eyes are soft. Just allowing your body to receive the vibrations of the bell. There's absolutely no rush. Stay exactly where you are if that's right for you. And at whatever moment you might want to reintroduce movement, you're welcome to. Thanks for sliding. Thanks for gliding. How'd your night go last week?
Hi, wasn't too much. A little slow for me, but my photographer dad, so
Nice. Cool, yeah, that's fun though.
got to network a little bit, which is cool. one of my final photos, and I haven't seen his face in like 3 years.
Oh, shoot.
Because it was like meet and greet, and then
Yeah,
it's like, you know where the key is for the last 3 years.
right. That's funny.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I was like, that's what you look like. Yeah, I forgot. That was gorgeous.
What pet do you take care of?
He had an orange cat that passed away last year, but right now he's got a gray cat that has, I don't know if it's a foster, or if it's like actually his, but she has some sort of like neurological. Yeah, disorder. She's okay, but she just wallows everywhere.
What?
It's actually kind of like
Cute.
yeah.
Nothing's puppies. How was your week? Rest days are just I will.
Let me get scat out of your way here.
Skid scat, is that what you said?
I like your color coordinating
Thank
socks
you.
and outfit.
These are, yeah, basically all of my favorite colors in one.
Wrapped in one.
Wrapped in one. And it's funny, I had so many items of clothing that are kind of like similar to these colors. I would sometimes maybe even put in a jacket. And sometimes I would inadvertently like leave the house and it would be completely monochromatic. And like, you know, and like, which is fine if it's planned. I feel like unintentional.
Yeah.
It's
Depends
been
on
nice.
what it is.
It's been a nice switch. You know, in the winter when meditation's really popular. We were really like outgrowing the old street foods and jam packed in there, so it's really nice to have it. Danny's gonna sit up there-ish, and then we usually sit in kind of like a circle-ish type thing, but you can really be anywhere you want.
So, what's your name? I was over there twice. Oh, I know, street, oh, yeah. In the fall, I had a video that. Oh, yeah, it should be, yeah, I was on quite a while ago, I just haven't, they would come back. So you're, that's, yeah, good to know, yeah, some context for, what's going on. Where did you work?
That like weird triangle.
I'm in the lot, which apparently I'm not supposed to be.
Wait, which one?
Like right behind this. Is that the track? Or wait, what's the track?
That's me.
Oh, wait.
That's the triangle.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But when I pulled in, I did this tiny little foliage covered sign. Yeah, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I have this lot.
And then they lost blankets.
Sometimes it's stuff. So
Anything.
they're choking. But last week was the last week. The week before that, there was a police officer posted in this lot.
Oh, really? I see him like, he's perfect.
Yeah. You didn't pay for the thing, right?
No.
I heard that was like $20.
Yeah, apparently it's only daily parking. They don't do hour, like for this, I mean, I might be speaking.
On the street right there, it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice there was a spot until they walked in.
Hello.
Diane.
Diane?
Yes.
Dan. Nice to meet you. We haven't met before, have we?
No,
Okay.
no.
Oh, well then.
I mean, we could,
Otherwise,
it is probably exceptional.
it is, it's a small city. You come to this kind of.
Not this style of, but yeah,
Okay.
but this will be.
Okay, great. Yeah, there's always such a spectrum of, I don't want to say spectrum of experience, but there's, some people who come every week, there's like a mixture of people for the first time. And it's always just kind of nice to kind of meet what are people expecting or what context they have. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was looking at the website for October retreat, and I was a little bit confused.
Yeah, so this will be, yeah, we did the first time, so we just finished up the expression. So yeah, just the same. All top.
Yeah. Those are.
We have met
Those are past.
Yes, I think so. For the other people. I just wasn't sure
Yeah.
Great, yes.
if that was like different start times for different Sangha plans, or if it was
No,
like.
those are the times.
This is niche. Good, for you. Genius. Yeah, well, not great today.
And I should be able to get it all like that.
But in general, okay.
But,
You know,
I just wasn't sure like. Forward.
You're from the Northwest, right? So,
It was.
It's like on the dry side of the stage.
And there was also like two different ones too. So that's what probably why I was confused too. It's like, I'm this day, and then these days, I'm this day, and then these
Yeah.
days. I was like, no, it's okay. And I figured you guys would just be like, we'll figure it out.
yeah.
I also noticed that it said something about like situation things.
Big ass mountain range.
I don't know how sure that was. I know it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's just as the stage rise up.
Yeah, let's go.
Just, yeah, here. Not yet.
I don't know if Alex is taking your own.
Yeah, we stopped 2 years ago. We took a few vacations.
I just don't want to.
There's gonna be some PVD.
No,
There's not.
Are you going? Cool.
Right. So that's no good where you're.
Oh, to the retreat.
Are you going?
We have requested time off from work, I guess.
Yes. Right, gotta get used to doing
Ah.
that.
How's this working
Asking permission?
Instead of just.
Taking the
So annoying.
Whatever you want.
Yeah,
It's tough to get used to.
it's tough to get used to.
It really is.
I'm like, I'm on the other side of that right now.
So annoying.
Because I work for myself now mostly, so I don't have to
Are
report
you
time
mostly
on
doing,
the pet sitting.
that's like your main thing? Oh, okay.
That's my main source of
So yeah, so then you are the boss that you have to ask for
Yeah.
time off from.
And I have like the photography at the hospital, but I can just be like, I won't be here, and they'll be like,
Okay, okay, yeah.
You do all the classes.
It's nice.
Are you working self-employed?
yes and no.
Figure out your taxes?
I still need to figure that out.
And you use the.
That's the scary part.
Your property taxes, just spend it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just like finding new clients, like having to go out there, which is fine. I just find myself in positions often where I'm like out on the street or whatever, and I see like potential clients walking by, and I'm like, I don't have my business cards on me, and I don't want to just be like, hi, I'm Monica. Like I can, I've done it before.
We should print flyers and staple them to telephone poles this summer.
Hey, how are
That
you?
is the plan. I'm gonna do that.
That's what we do.
Not too bad.
Ordered 1,000 business cards from Staples.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I thought it was gonna be warm and spring-like,
Great.
but I feel like I should be wearing beige.
More than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on in, make yourself at home. You prefer sitting in a chair, you want to sit back on it.
Yeah, I actually have 2 clients today. And I think it's so much fun. Like I get to go hang out with animals all the time, and like most of them don't talk back to me.
Hey, good. How are you? Generally good. It's all relative these days.
Yeah.
Looks like you're a DJ. Like you got your set up.
DJing. Yeah. Nope, just Danny Vision over here.
Danny Vision.
We got 3 viewers, Danny Vision.
I'm sure they can hear.
Are they usually folks we don't know?
It's usually people who are familiar with the group. Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while we get a newbie.
Oh yeah, I need a double.
So we have a nice intimate group tonight. Thanks for coming out, everybody. So the trip got everyone's names and also not everyone here knows each other. So
Yeah.
Laura, Court, Monica, Jeff, Diane, Ivan, and Devin. And I'm Danny, also. For anybody who hasn't met me before. So the sit's going to be about an hour. I like to do just a brief period of silence right at the beginning for us to all settle in and acclimate to the space. I'll talk just a little bit. After that, we'll sit for maybe 20, 30 minutes, depending on how long I talk for. I've been a bit under the weather, so I might try to do a bit less talking, a bit more silence tonight. We'll kind of see how things go. Great to have you all. Thanks for attending online, folks who are coming from near and far. And this is one for the. I used a different one last time. It was really tinny and little. hard to listen to. Okay, here we go. Let's this month at the Sangha, the theme that we've been exploring through the Dharma talks that are given each Wednesday evening is thinking mind. Something that was going through my mind as we were just sitting for that first 5 minutes or so is there was this study, I can't remember exactly how recently it was done, within the past couple of years, I believe, where they had folks sit for whatever length of time, and they could either be with their thoughts or they could give themselves an electric shock. And the vast majority of people in the study chose the electric shock over the discomfort of sitting with whatever was going on in their internal landscape at the time. So I know that one of my aims with practicing meditation, kind of joining the IMS lineage, so forth, is in service of becoming, I think, a better interpreter of my thoughts. The last time that I was here, 2 weeks ago, one of the themes that I had explored was in regards to the symptom of rumination, which I define as when experiencing overwhelm in an attempt to restore equilibrium, the mind kind of falls into these repeated spirals of negative thought loops that can be really difficult to get out of. One of the experiences that I had recounted was having really bitten off more than I could chew in this leadership position that I had taken on at the time, and experiencing a lot of rumination, interfering with sleep and general well-being, and so forth, and eventually came to recognize that I couldn't meditate my way out of those sorts of negative thought spirals, and ultimately wound up leading to me leaving the job entirely and completely cleared up, even though I had been meditating, practicing other forms of self-care and all of this the entire time. It was just too intense of an experience, and there was this kind of internal warning system that was going off, trying to alert me to the fact that I was in a situation that really wasn't so good for me. I think a lot of us, aren't really trained how to interpret those signals, and in a lot of ways, as opposed to looking at them as kind of a protective force that's on our side, we try to numb them out or find other ways of quieting them or compartmentalizing them, just to not have to sit with the discomfort of what is. So I had another one of these kind of rumination experiences this past week. And it was interesting. I was thinking about the last Dharma talk that I had given about how to interpret rumination when it happens, and take a good look at, what is my inner experience trying to tell me about ways in which I might be acting, or situations I might be in that are out of alignment with the way that I think reasonably I would best be living. And kind of found some ways to really inject humor into that experience unexpectedly, that I wanted to kind of form the basis of how I approached the Dharma talk tonight. So last time that I was here, I read from this book, Buddhist Brain. It's a neuroscience view of Buddhist principles. And the way that they wrote about the distinction between desire and craving felt particularly prescient for me this past week. And I wanted to read directly from the text about what they have to say about that. I'll try to tie it in with my experience with rumination and so forth from this past week. So they write, "It is sometimes said that desire leads to suffering, but is that always true? The territory of desire is far-reaching, and it includes wishes, intentions, hopes, and cravings. Whether a desire leads to suffering depends on two factors. Is craving, the sense that you need something, involved? And what is the desire for? Regarding the first of these, desire per se is not the root of suffering. Craving is. You can wish for or intend something without craving the results. For example, you can decide to get eggs from the refrigerator without craving them and without getting upset if there are none left. Regarding the second factor, intentions are a double-edged sword that can either hurt or help. For example, the three poisons, greed, hatred, and delusion, are a kind of intention. To grab pleasure and hold on tight, resist pain and anything else you don't like, and ignore or distort things you'd rather not know about. So I was thinking about that three poisons line in particular from this past week. So this part about the it's part about craving as opposed to desire. So I was thinking about things in terms of a spectrum that I experienced this past week. On one end of the spectrum is experiencing discomfort, having the sort of thought pattern of this is never going to end. I'm never going to think differently. This uncomfortable feeling is going to last forever. That's on one side of the spectrum. Then on the other, there are also parts of the week where I felt so calm and confident. It was as though that was going to last forever. As in, I can just go off and do anything because I have such a consistent meditation practice, and so forth. I can take on all of these challenging things and remain in equanimity, as long as I keep up with this practice, and so forth. And I was thinking about the notion of craving on both ends of that spectrum. There's the craving to get out of this experience of discomfort at any cost, and then there's the craving to hold on to this feeling of cool, calm confidence, and not let it go. So the way that I conceptualize desire as opposed to craving in this example would be, desire is striving to uphold the intention of maintaining cool, calm, collected equanimity, and at the same time having grace with oneself if that might not be possible given the circumstances one is presented with. So the circumstance in particular from this past week. So I had been a number of different things that stacked up. So my wife is in the midst of needing to do a new job search from being a federal employee and having lost her job. That's leading to us kind of casting a net in terms of, well, where are her best job prospects? Would it make most sense to move across the country back home to where we're from, and so forth? We're potentially looking to buy a home, all of this kind of thing. On top of that, I'm at a conference this past week for the Trauma Research Foundation, attending lectures, with pretty heavy, intense subject matter going on. And it's the kind of thing where I talk about this out loud, and I go, that seems like a really difficult combination to be attending these lectures and listening to just really harrowing subject matter and research, and so forth. And then on top of that, also to be only just initially engaging in this process the first time home buying. And those are the conditions for, I think, well, for me, one of the things I realized was I started to experience this telltale sign of rumination, which truly means that I'm biting off more than I can chew. In the midst of that, I have this resistance to the fact that the rumination is happening. And this is where the humor part came up. I had this thought come up. Oh, well, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm someone who meditates. And I was able to laugh at myself amidst this kind of ridiculous pattern of thought as we're considering making this huge life decision. And it really just diffused things. We ultimately didn't move forward with placing an offer. It really was not the right time and place. It was much more than we could possibly afford it anyways. But I just thought, there is such a difference between being able to laugh at oneself in the spirit of self-compassion and laughing at oneself in terms of self-judgment or mean-spiritedness, self-criticism, whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of my involvement with this practice has been getting to know myself, getting to learning how to interpret myself, take myself in good faith in the way that I would a good friend. And there's something about going back to these two extreme ends of the spectrum, the patterns of thought that I have, which is either kind of dramatic, like on the very kind of like uncomfortable end, this is never going to end, very kind of dramatic and out of proportion. And on the very confident end, there's this kind of self-aggrandizing tone that gets taken on. And both of these caricatures that emerge from the extreme ends are kind of funny. And I've found that some of the patterns of thought that correspond with either, if I'm able to laugh at them a bit as they emerge, some of the wind gets taken out of either of those caricatures' sails to the point that a step toward equanimity being restored has been taken. I don't know, whenever I attend this kind of a talk, or in my profession, if I'm being taught by another psychotherapist, what I appreciate the most, I think, is just like, what's the real human, with like all human foibles included, like what is a real example of how practicing this kind of thing plays out on a day-to-day basis. So from the psychotherapy example, and I draw a lot of distinctions between, or a lot of comparisons between teaching the IMS lineage and then my profession. It's kind of hard not to. But one of the things that I'll have come up a lot is, say you go to a conference, the instructor teaches a particular intervention, and they go, okay, well, this is the sort of textbook way in which this would play out. If the client that's in front of you also reacts in this, kind of in exactly the way that the intervention intends for the person to react, and it teaches you very little about what would this actually be like to implement in front of another real human being. And that's kind of the spirit in which I try to offer these Dharma talks. Is a lot of this past week was really very, very unpleasant. And no amount of meditation, I don't think, can remove the likelihood that that sort of unpleasantness is going to be experienced. And at the same time, I think that being able to laugh at oneself amidst that sort of discomfort, again, in such a way that is very self-compassionate, self-validating, so forth. What made me feel a lot better at the time, and I hope hearing that description of practice if you want to call it that, which I'll choose to, is helpful for others as well. So with that, I think I want to bring us to a more extended time to sit. Leave a little bit of room for kind of Q&A, comments, and so forth at the end. And also kind of being from the waypoint here, I like to cue anybody's experiencing physical discomfort. You're certainly not obligated to remain in the position that you're in. Make micro adjustments if there are any other props that are needed. Make sure unnecessarily suffer. Okay. striving to uphold an intention without unreasonable fixation on a particular outcome. Talking about earlier was some of the different parts of self that can emerge, particularly at the extreme ends of the interpretation of the situation. The part of self that emerges when the belief is that this discomfort will never end, which is somewhat of a caricature that we can have a gentle laugh at. There's a caricature part of self on the other end of that spectrum, the self-aggrandizement. I feel so confident and I can handle anything. We can have a gentle laugh at that part of self as well. We make the distinction between laughing with someone as opposed to laughing at someone. Directed at the self in this instance, of course, all in the service of slowly moving the needle toward finding a middle way, some version of that quality. Gradually make your way back into the space. Open your eyes. Remove that stretches that feel good. I always appreciate the discussion in general, and I think in particular with the science group. So, curious what that brought up for people, what folks observed, learning, sitting, interpreting. I like to prompt for process or content, meaning it could be something about what was said in responding to that, or it could be a comment in terms of this is what the experience was like for me, for the process of being in the space together with the last 4 minutes. What is that prompt for people?
I like what you said about, well, a couple of things. I think sort of laughing at yourself requires a certain insight into what's going on.
Yeah.
You have to already be at a point where you can recognize being a little ridiculous or whatever. But so that's already good. And of course, I do think it's very useful to have. It's just, silly thing.
Self-awareness component.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. I think that, I like what you were talking about. I think it's very useful, a useful reminder. I think the hardest thing for, I'll just say me, When some negative feeling or emotion comes up, whether it's something that's clearly, a classic, anger, jealousy, or frustration with yourself of not performing the way I want to, or whatever it is, if it's already identified as something that I want to be better at, I find it quite difficult to not necessarily berate myself about it, but sort of skip the middle, and which I'll come back to. And the end is, and you sort of says, I shouldn't feel this way, or, if I am a little more mindful right now, that anger will dissipate, which is usually true, or whatever but the middle part of being with whatever it is very difficult. Because the thinking mind jumps in and says, I've now identified whatever it is. It's not the way I want to be or want to feel, and there's a reason for that, and I can be mindful of that, and then not really spending a whole lot of time with the whatever it is. So that resonates for me. Thank you.
Got a comment here from the YouTube. Ray says, I struggled with the craving to no longer hear the birds chirping and balance that with my desire to be in community and meditation with you all. Yeah. I think they're talking about our birds, yeah.
Was almost gonna skip out on today because I've been feeling pretty crappy lately. And part of that I thought was just like a desire for things to be different and like kind of, I even said it to myself on the way here, I'm like craving for something to be different. And like I kind of realized when you mentioned that excerpt from the book that it kind of takes me further away from like the actual change that I want to see when I'm in that like craving aspect of like wanting things to change, instead of like holding a desire and like making a choice or a step towards it. I'm just kind of stuck in that like funk of like, I just want things to be different. I just want things to be different. Almost like
pretty immobilized.
Yeah, and like I said, like all of that, like the rumination of all of that, like almost stopped me from coming here today, which this is probably the one place that I should have been today. And I'm glad that I came because I heard probably exactly what I needed to hear. But I just think it's so crazy that on the way here, I had that thought of like, I recognize that I'm craving this thing and I recognize that it's like stopping me, but like, what do I need? And I come here, I'm like, I need to like slow down a bit and be still for a little bit and like just be okay with like these thoughts and move forward. So.
It is tough when it's high intensity.
I think similarly to Monica, I really appreciated just the whole invitation this week, which started with your writing, which I got to read earlier than everybody else. But, the invitation just to remember the humor of the situation, because for me, playfulness and curiosity and interest is such an important part of practice, because without it, it can feel very heavy and very serious and just, kind of too intense. Like this this mind is a really strong thinking mind, and this body feels a lot. And yeah, so just to remember that kind of like, oh, right, just interest in it really changes the momentum of just being able to really feel what's there, right? With like a little layer of removal,
Right.
especially within those moments of real intensity. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Danny.
I have thoughts on the content specifically, but process, yeah. I feel sort of like generally in my life, like in a moment of reconnecting to some of these practices. I kind of feel like I had, honestly, I would call it like a phase for like a couple years earlier in my life where I was like really involved, connected to like meditative practices, and then life happened and things happened, and I kind of like filled up my time in other ways, and then kind of in a moment of trying to like reconnect in this chapter of my life, and like similar in some ways and different in other ways, and it was nice to just be able to come here and be with people and be a community in that practice. And I appreciated what you shared as well.
Glad you came. Welcome back. Welcome back to practice.
Question from Joan. Any tips for breaking down craving into smaller components, like an inquiry process, so it is easier to dissipate the cycle?
I don't know if this is going to answer the question directly or not, but it's what came to my mind, so that's what I'll share. There's this notion of some of these intense emotions, in particular, like anger. You know, there's the I know that certainly, yeah, with experiencing a lot of intensity, and particularly the I want this discomfort to end. I know for me, anger can be a part of that. And so like the notion is that anger is often what they call a secondary emotion, meaning it's there to protect against vulnerability, and that the primary emotion is often sadness, fear, something or so forth. So I know, like in the example that I had been giving, when I was from this past week, when I was getting into this pretty overwhelmed state, there was almost this kind of I don't know, this part of me that was coming up that almost wanted to like appear, just to be like on the ground about it, like talking to a realtor, kind of like trying to assess like what, and like in reality, I'm actually very fearful about this. I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. It's been like a really intense week in all these different ways. And yet then I'm also kind of trying to hang in there and like appear confident in this kind of thing. There's this like edge to the way that I was presenting myself. This it's like almost like a little bit aggressive. And that's where I think like, okay, but what am I protecting against? Oh, I don't want to appear overwhelmed. I don't want to show this person, salesperson, effectively that, this kind of like vulnerability that I'm having. It's like I'm so grateful for the presence of mind to be able to kind of step back and realize when that's happening. And I mean, that's like, for me, that's the first step, is just recognizing like there's something underneath here that I'm resisting accessing, and it's related to vulnerability. And in so many instances, it's related to vulnerability. It's like that's sort of the good stuff is. And so I know for me, it's like kind of getting in touch with like what are, like I call these sideshows. It's like I'm putting on a sideshow with this kind of like confident, like cocky sort of act that like I'm giving it to is this sideshow getting in the way of? So hopefully, Joan, that was toward an answer to what you were asking about. Any last thoughts before we move on to announcements? So, the Insight Sangha Providence is entirely donation-based. We have Dharma, which says, well,
Giving.
giving. Okay, I was going to say generosity, but okay. So, similar, okay. So, we have a Dharma bucket that's just around the corner here for old-fashioned cash donations. There is also a QR code for Venmo that's on there as well. So all of us practitioners, facilitators, donate our time in order to be here. Appreciate donations to the cause. Next week on Thursday, so that's May 29th. Wait, is that Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Oh, thank you. So next Thursday, there's going to be a clothing swap from 7 to 9 here. If anybody has any, we're getting into spring, cleaning out the closet and that kind of thing. A lot of clothes go to the landfill. It would be great if they could get a new life with someone else, and you might want to hear with your outfit yourself. Check that out if you want. Between now and June 15th, the Sangha, in combination with Sati Yoga School, are collecting food for a food donation drive. There's a container right around the corner there. Non-perishable items, there's a list that's online, an email list, if anybody wants to look at that. The next time that the Dharma Book Club is going to meet is a week from Saturday, May 31st, here, 10 a.m. A short novel called The Psalm for the Wild Goat will be being discussed in the Providence Library. And then, just always wanting to give a reminder about the week-long New Hampshire silent retreat that the Sangha is hosting. That's at the beginning of October, the 4th through 10th, and all those details are on the website. Did I get all the announcements? Anything else from either of you?
I have one announcement. If you would like herbal tea for your evening, it is freshly steeped. It's right next to the Donna bucket. There's little craft paper cups. Please take some with you. And I think that's all I have.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is there still a book club?
there is Silver Club. Yeah, on Saturday.
The
We'll meet
31st.
here, yeah, on the 31st. This book is very short. It's like 100 pages long. So it's a really quick read. It's a really uplifting little book. So I'd recommend it, even if we read it when we were on vacation, which is why we recommended it for the book club. It's very uplifting. It's just really sweet. So even if you don't make it for this, I recommend it for your little beach read or your vacation read this summer. If you'd like it. It
And
has so many good Dharma themes.
We were on vacation for 4 days with 5 people,
Yeah.
and 4 of us read the book
Yeah.
individually. So it's pretty quick read. Yeah, you can get through it.
I just want to, it's sort of not an announcement I want to take up time for, but thinking about your book about the neuroscience of Buddhism, I just read a book that came out about 7 years ago called Why Buddhism is True, I think, by Robert Wright. And it's sort of a similar idea of all sort of Buddhist concepts with psychological concepts, especially evolutionary psychology and why anger protecting us and how it doesn't. And anyways, it's a great read. Highly recommend it. Robert Wright, W-R-I-T.
Okay.
I think I listened to audio from the library and it was great.
Sounds great. Thanks
Hi.
for recommending it.
I do have one more. If any of you who are newer and not on the, I don't know if you're on the email list or not, but if you're not and you would like to be, we send an email out every Tuesday talking about any, whatever's gonna happen for the week here, so we give like a little bit of a heads up about the topic. Generally, the presenter is the person who's writing the email, and then any upcoming announcements and stuff too, so we try to keep it pretty dry.
So you don't have to remember.
Yeah, you don't
all
have to
these dates
remember all
and things like that, you just throw out there everybody. All right, well, thanks so much to everyone for being here. Court is gonna facilitate next week. For the last week of Thinking Mind, because it's a 5-week month,
Yes.
right?
No more
It
thinking.
feels like a 5-month week.
Yeah.
It is a 5-week
Freudian slip.
for sure.
Thanks everyone online for joining as well.
Joan says thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if there's anything in particular that you are interested in, kind of hearing about with this, and it pops into your mind between now and next week, send me an email, send me a message, whatever, and we'll incorporate it, wrap it in.
Hold it.
Hold it.